All right. Good morning. Let's check. What's happening? Are we live or not? And if you guys are hearing me or not. Okay. Didn't start yet. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. All right. There we go. It's muted. Okay. Please let me know if you guys hear me. Mr. IDK, good morning. As usual, thank you so much for attending. All right. I think we're all here. Whoever needs to be here is here. I don't think we're going to be waiting much. So, would love to hear everybody's thoughts. Now, if you guys watch this in the recording, put this in the comments. But the testnet version 0 or version 1 has been pretty successful so far, thanks to you guys. And we just need to essentially work on continuity of the effort. There will be a number of technical advancements, and what has been launched is not even 10%, not even 5% of what is going to be launched. Because on the Ghost chain itself, we just essentially tested the connectivity with some of you guys, some of the ghosties. But we didn't get to the proof of stake consensus yet. We didn't get to the staking, where you can stake your GMVs, your ghosts. We didn't get to an ability to increase through the ranks, meaning you are just a user, or maybe you are a light node, maybe you are a validator, and there are different ranks within, depending on how many GMVs you have. And that's a new development by Polkadot, by Substrate, and we essentially inheriting it as well for the Ghost, where before we only had a number of roles, maybe a validator role, a user role, a council role, but now we could have multiple roles, where council is the highest role possible, and it's responsible for certain things, and it's getting rewards for certain functions. However, there's just similar to how we have the ranking system in the JML NFT collection, where we have the degen, then some, I keep forgetting the first two phases, then the third one is a zombie, then a skeleton, then a ghost, right? So depending on these roles you get, and these roles are proportional to how many GMVs, how many ghosts you will have certain responsibilities, but you also have certain rewards, right? So you'll get essentially certain status. That's what's happening. So that's not launched yet. We don't have nominated proof of stake, so you can run a node, or you don't have to run a node, and you can still stake. However, you'll be sharing your staking rewards with whoever is running your node. We also don't have the Ghost DAO, which is the pinnacle of it all, because the Ghost DAO enables to create the pricing and also liquidity for the Ghost, but also enables to create arbitrage opportunity, thus incentivizing users tremendously to use Ghost Chain. And therefore, when users use Ghost Chain by trying to take arbitrage opportunity for the Ghost DAO, they will be generating the bridging fees, and these bridging fees will be going to the council. It will also be going to some ranks. So a number of, like, okay, what about on-chain voting, on-chain governance, where you can vote for certain proposals? Currently, the community with Ghost Whales, we vote based on the poll in the Telegram group. When it comes down to votes on the Ghost Council, we still vote off-chain. But what about on-chain vote, right? What about the Explorer, where you can see where the nodes are located, where hidden by the proxy or hidden by the VPN or not. Still, you can see the distribution, the allocation of the nodes. You know that it's happening. It's an unkillable system that no regulator can come in and just pause. It's not going to happen because as long as there's at least one node running the chain is alive, right? So they close out of 1,000 nodes, they close 999. Great, there's one remaining one, and then the second node can then connect to the one remaining, and then third, and so on and so forth. So it's an unkillable system, just like any blockchain is supposed to be. So a number of these developments are not, we're not even discussing them much because they're a little bit far out. And the reason why they're a little bit far out is because we need to kind of make sure that the first couple of phases are adopted correctly. So thank you everybody for your support when it comes down to running the node. That has been pretty helpful. And that's what we have currently. So huge disclaimer. All the numbers presented today will be for informational purposes. These are not real numbers. Even if they were real, we would still have to put massive disclaimers because we should not be talking much about price, much about market cap, etc. But I believe those numbers are needed to put everything in perspective, just to see where we are, and just to psychologically help us move forward with adoption. And the reason why these numbers, like the main reason for these numbers is most people believe that Bitcoin is being run by millions of nodes. Like ask anybody how many nodes, like how many users, running Bitcoin, right? And, when you ask people, your friends, your colleagues, everybody thinks, well, like millions. And there's nuance, right? Maybe millions of people are using Bitcoin. Maybe millions of people own Bitcoin. But how many people, how many like nodes, how many entities actually support the network? And it's not that much. Typically, it's not that much. Like again, up to 20,000 at this moment. And I'm not even sure that's 20,000 is the right number. I'm pretty sure it's a lot less. But whatever, like currently that's what it shows. And it's great. It does not mean 20,000 entities, right? It could be 20,000 nodes per se. So the barrier to entry is pretty tiny. And that's the whole point of showing these numbers, right? So with, at this point of time, how many? We have 5 nodes in the US, 1 node in Scandinavia, 1 node in Balkans, 1 node in CIS region, and 1 node in Japan. So that's around 11 nodes. Currently, we have more already kind of signing up. I believe 1 from Canada, a couple more from the US are on the way. Having a call with somebody from Southeast Asia today, one of the council members, and we're going to be trying to set up, not set up a node per se, but trying to kind of direct towards that. Europe is not there yet, although it's supposed to be because we have council members out of Europe. We have also more council members out of Southeast Asia, let alone ghost whales. Lots of ghost whales in Nigeria, lots of ghost whales in Vietnam. Some ghost whales are in Latin America. So more people from CIS region, right? So it's a lot of people who could take advantage of this opportunity. But even with 11 nodes, based on the comparable statistics, we're already looking at a pretty significant market cap of 129 million. That's, again, all experimental. That's not real. That's just statistically based on the historical numbers. And then if you assume that there's around 14 million GNVs in circulation currently with uncapped supply, but uncapped supply, but it does not mean that the supply can be expanded like tremendously by 1000x factor, right? So with this uncapped supply of 14 million, we're looking at a theoretical value of $9.26 per ghost, so per GNV that you guys can swap. So again, just that's not the point is not like, oh, let's rush in, like, let's start buying it. No. The whole point is the barrier to entry is very low, right? With just 11 nodes, we are already 129 million market cap, experimental. If we are going to get to, say, 100 nodes, and we'll do the simulation today, and I'll put this in perspective for you guys today. You guys will see what's happening. It's going to be like absolutely, like a massive party. And now you know, and now I'm also realizing we had a call earlier with the council, with some members of the council members earlier this week, and I mentioned that to them. Uh, so before I was thinking like, how can one node be worth 11 million? Uh, it's like maybe that number is too high, right? Maybe $11 million per node is an insane, unfair number. But the more we run nodes ourselves here, right, the more we have to deal with the tech, the more we have to deal with maintaining it, the more we have to deal with buying the machine. If the machine doesn't work anymore, buy another machine. Um, Making sure the internet connection is there. If I'm traveling, making sure I have a way to to either run the node remotely or have access to it remotely, or give it to a friend or give it to a family member. Like, it's not easy at all. It's really not easy. But that's why the value is so high, because when we discount this value for the next 20, 30 years, kind of what I give an example of: you take the average salary, whatever X, and then you multiply this by Y, which is the average number of hours, part time, whether you have to be involved in this matter, and then you discount this for the next 20, 30 years, project that, not discount, but project that for the next 20, 30 years, you'll get some huge number, which is pretty comparable to the $11 million per node. So yeah, so the more nodes, the better. But you have to be very thoughtful about who is running these nodes, right? So we discussed this matter yesterday with the team after we had a call with a council member. And we, how to say, like, the number of nodes is important, but what's more important is the quality of the node operators, especially at this point of time. And quick example, maybe I need to switch to Paint at this point. 1 second. You guys see Paint. Supposed to see Paint. So the quick example here goes like this. So lots of people talk about how Bitcoin has great incentive to run a node, and that's true, right? Like, let's not pretend that it's not true. It's very true. So Bitcoin, if I want to become a node operator, I'm incentivized. Why? Because first of all, I was able to do this just through my computer, right? So I just buy my computer, my home computer, and I'm able to mine Bitcoins using my own electricity, which was not that high in the beginning, and internet connection. Around 2013, 2012, it was already pretty complicated just to use a normal computer. You had to use a gaming computer. So the hashing power was increasing, therefore the requirements has been increasing. But we all forget that all this stuff was happening after 2013, right? This whole, or maybe 2012, right? Rather 2013. So before the price point origination, right? So Bitcoin's light paper came out in 2009, right? So and the network therefore was operating since 2010, if I'm not mistaken, right? So we were looking for a couple of years before there was any price point of Bitcoin. And before there was any price point of Bitcoin, who was running Bitcoin? Bitcoin was worth nothing. In fact, it was comparable to Torrent. If you guys know what Torrent is and run a Torrent, right? Torrent is not intensive as far as electricity, not intensive as far as internet. Who would have thought that those points of Bitcoin could have been worth anything? That's why 20,000 Bitcoins was spent on a pizza, right? Just to have kind of make a real life transaction, right? Just to kind of like bring a price point. The idea was for the early adopters, apparently, was to bring a price point, like how much is one Bitcoin. Then they started equating that to energy. Oh, if my hashing power is increasing and I spend $20 to mine Bitcoin, how about the price of Bitcoin is $21, so I can sell it at a profit, right? A little bit of profit for myself. That's my way of making money. That's kind of how it all originated. But before that original price point, $20, $1, whatever, 10 cents per Bitcoin, Bitcoin was just for fun, right? It was like Torrent. It was like this, like points. Okay, I have 20,000 Bitcoins, I have 20,000 points, right? So who cares, right? So, and what was the profile of those original users? Well, maybe some cryptographers, maybe some geeks, maybe there was no sentiment for the free economy at that point of time. I don't think so. When Bitcoin was started using for bad things like bad transactions such as Silk Road related transactions, at that point of time it already had a price point. It was not used just for the points. Oh, let me pay 50,000 bitcoins for some instance, right? That I need to receive and smoke it later, whatever. Right. So bitcoins were not used then, right? Because there was no price point. It was only using when the price point is 20 cents. Okay, now let's go, right? So what price point is $2. So we need to make a similar potentially a similar differentiation between who is running the nodes originally, and then once the price point is there, then of course lots of people will kind of drop at it. There are lots of incentives to join immediately once there is any type of price point, and that's why we're super careful, and we've been extremely careful with getting to that price point before we have enough um, uh, members of the community, right? And uh, something is telling me that we may either have just enough or that we may need just a little bit more members, right? Like just a tiny. So um, launching now versus launching 2 years ago, launching now is definitely better because we have you guys, right? Thank you so much, Ghost Whales. Rock and roll team of you guys running the nodes. But um, uh, had we launched 2 years ago with the price points with the incentives, we would have huge upside potentially as far as like market cap price, but then we would have an equally huge decline because nobody cares about the vision, and the vision is so much more important currently because um, those core members will be the ones protecting, defending the protocol in both good and bad times. Right. So the differentiation here is it would be great to have 10,000 nodes, but it would be better to have 10,000 nodes that are quality. Or let's put it differently. What's better, 10,000 nodes that are not quality and then these nodes can disappear tomorrow, or 100 nodes that are super, super stable as far as users behind them, right? So the answer is 100 that are super stable, like a core army that is running this stuff no matter what. That's way more important than just, having some random people. So, that's why, again, the barrier to entry is pretty tiny, but we need to make sure that we are attracting the right people to it. And any questions so far or feedback, please throw it in the chat. The next thing I wanted to show you, and potentially the most important one, is let's assume you have a friend, and you need to bring that friend to the community. How does it work? So in order to bring the friend to the community, you need to make sure that because it came to my attention that lots of people don't know how to invite their network circle to the ghost whales. So in order to bring somebody to the ghost whales, that person needs to claim ideally 3 NFTs on 3 different mainnets. Right? So don't go for Ethereum mainnet, although that became also pretty cheap, but go for, I don't know, Polygon, Avalanche, like whatever. We have 20 plus mainnets. So any 3 mainnet, you can claim the JMLs, and now you can be invited. So once they claim the first JML, let me know immediately, and then we'll start figuring out how to invite that person to the whales. That's very easy. And once that person is in the whales, now they have access to how to run the node, blah, 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 blah. So that's the most important pinnacle. The most important pinnacle is to bring your friends to claim JML. When they do claim JML, use your referral link, because every single referral you bring, you get 10 JMV on-chain immediately as a reward. And then the next question is, why would you bring anybody? Right? So we need to make sure that it's a quality situation here. But what's the economics of bringing somebody to the network? Right? Because we've been discussing potential referral rewards for bringing people. It could backfire potentially, right? Because if the incentive is just to bring as many people as possible, then what's the quality, right? Like the incentive is to bring quality. But the interesting part is that we already have the built-in incentive for bringing people, and let's just go through that incentive. So I'm going to show the Excel spreadsheet right now, and we need to be very, very careful with it. Okay, so you guys see it. So it's a little bit expanded. Once the new video is shot, this Excel spreadsheet will be presented, and you guys will be able to play with that spreadsheet in Google Sheets. So you saw this part of the equation before. I showed that to you before. So let's assume again, the equation was 100 nodes, 1,000 daily transactions, $1,000 liquidity, and the supply was 30 million. That's how you guys remember it. So the value here is almost $40, and the market cap is 1.1 billion. Now let me look at CoinMarketCap. So with 1 billion, where are we going to be with just 100 nodes? Just you're not going to see the screen, unfortunately, but I'm just going to like check on my end. So I'm looking on the first page, and the first page shows that almost 2 billion will put us next to Matic. Now Matic rebranded to Polygon, rebranded to Matic, whatever the hell they did, or Pol, whatever the new token. So there's two networks now. But like the old Matic is 1.2 billion. There's another network, you probably heard about it, like it's been promoted everywhere. It's Pyth Network. The two meme coins, Flocky and Bonk, the two successors, they're also in that horizon. Another one, BitGet token, that's a token for the wallet, one of the recently popular hardware wallets. Now Maker, which is the governance token of the MakerDAO, is at 1.3 billion. Right. So I'm not sharing that. I'm just like kind of putting the numbers in. Maybe I can make a screenshot actually. 1 second. 1 second. Make a screenshot so you guys. I'll just put this in Excel. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. So then I'll erase it. Right. So Thorchain 1.5. Some members of the council love it. Love Thorchain for privacy features, whatever. So that's 1.5. Maker is 1.3 right there. BitGet, that's his hardware, 1.3. So what else? Bonk and Flocky, those two meme coins, 1.2. Polygon, the old one, 1.2. Right. So that's where we are already with just 100 nodes. Right? So that's the math. Right. Again, it's not that with 100 nodes we're going to necessarily get to that point. It's just that based on historical values, that's where we are. If the number of validated nodes then drops, well, let's assume it's not that it's dropped, but let's just like look at the today's situation, right? So we have 11 nodes, right? And instead of 30 million, let's just put 14 million token circulation. That's the situation, right? So currently we're looking at, and these are the numbers that we're sharing in the groups. We're looking at roughly $9 per token, roughly market cap of 129 million, roughly. Okay, cool. Now the question is this: what happens when you add additional node? So you just add one more node. So you bring a friend, and that one node, what's going to happen to that one node? So first of all, let's assume, and again, I'm going to share this with you guys, so you can feel free to input any values in the blue cells, and the yellow cells will adjust automatically. So blue cell, earn GMV. So let's assume you have 1,000 GMVs earned right now. Maybe you brought referral people, maybe you did tweets, right? Maybe you play the dice. Like there are many, many ways to earn GMV. So let's assume you earn 1,000 GMV. Council members will have a lot more here. Now, we are thinking as a community that to run a node, everybody will get 1,000 GMVs. Right? So like as a reward, right? So if you are running a node, you're probably going to get 1,000. This is not approved yet. Let's assume that's the number. That's why it's blue, because we don't know what this number is. Let's assume it's 1,000. So when you bring a friend, that person will also get 1,000 GMV, right? Because if the friend comes in and does not get any GMVs, there's not much incentive for them to run a node. Now, when you bring people, they need to be, of course, incentivized not just to get 1,000 GMVs, but they also need to earn GMVs as well through tweets, through participating in the community, writing in the main group, getting like 1 GMV per message in the main group, not in the whales, in the main group, bringing friends, because there are so many referral rewards we have for bringing friends, either through the Ghost bot or through the on-chain GML. But let's assume they only get 1,000 GMV just for running a node. So what happens to them is let me expand it here a little bit. So what I've done is like, so 11 nodes, right? You bring a friend, now that's 12 nodes. So now the market cap is not 129 million, now it's 140 million. So now the price therefore is not $9 anymore, but it's $10. Just bring in one more person, right? From 11 nodes. So therefore, the person gets 1,000 GMV, which is equivalent to what? That's 1,000 GMV times this price here. That's all experimental, that's not real, but that's expected. So now a person is expected to receive $10,000 gain by just running a node. Then the question is, okay, so, does it make sense for them to purchase a machine, for example? A machine will cost them, up to $500, probably cheaper. But let's say up to 500. So they spend 500 to potentially receive 10,000 as a reward. And again, that's just at the current price point, right? If we now get it to 100 nodes, that gain is 85,000, right? But again, highly experimental, not realist, not real, expected, in a best possible scenario. But with 11 nodes here, one more node gets us again to $10. 1,000 nodes times $10, $10,000 per node. So they receive $10,000 essentially of expected value if they come and run the node. What will you receive as a referrer? Well, it's not that you receive something specifically as a referrer. Everybody receives. Like, you are helping the entire network. So everybody's helping the entire network. That's the whole beauty of it. But what happens? So earn GMV, again, you have 1,000 yourself. You also get 1,000 for running a node. So now you have 2,000. So before you invited somebody, your value was 18,000. How was that calculated? So that's 2,000 multiplied by this price, $9.26. So you get 18,000. So that's how much you have before you invited a friend at 11 nodes. Now, after you invited somebody, the price went up. You still have the same number of tokens, but your price point went up to $10. So now instead of 18.5, you have 20,200. So you just made like $1,700 by bringing a friend. These numbers may decrease as the number of nodes is increasing. As far as like the relative gain will potentially be decreasing, but we're not sure. Like, let's actually test it, right? So here, remember that was 1,700. That's how much you gain. Let's assume it's 100 nodes and you bring 100 in the first node. So now you are making roughly the same 1,700. So your gain is roughly the same 1,700 depending on not without relation to the price point. How about here? Yeah, it's around the same. It's around 1,700 per person that you bring. So the more people you bring, the more 1,700 you're going to get. Now, the trick here is what? The trick here is to bring more people, but also to earn as many GMVs as possible. That's another part of the equation. Significant. So let's assume you are at 11 nodes. So 1,700 per node. Let's assume you keep earning more. You bring friends. So you brought 100 more friends. Each person 10. How can you bring 100 friends? You think like you need to actually talk to your friends. Well, that's one way. Another way to earn GMVs without earning nodes is just by dropping your referral links everywhere. So you just go to groups where you're part of, drop your referral link. People use your referral link to join. It may apply actually to Mr. IDK yourself, but also to many others. Don't spam obviously, but like if they join using a link, 100 people join at 10 GMV. Now you have another 1,000. So now you earn 2,000 GMV. Boom! All of a sudden, now the gain is so much higher, right? So the part of the equation here is how many GMVs you have, how many nodes we have in the network, and how many people you bring to the network. And the idea is that when you bring people to the network, the entire network benefits and you also benefit. But everybody is incentivized because everybody's price point increases, right? Just like to summarize, to illustrate this point one more time. With 11 nodes, you're looking at, even if you bring a person, you're looking at 20,000 value total, right, for your 2,000 GMVs. But at 100 nodes, now you're looking at 170,000. So you're super incentivized to bring more people to the network. Just make sure you bring the quality people. That's kind of the disclaimer here, kind of to make sure that these high numbers don't mess with your head. Be very careful with whom you bring in. Yeah. So I think that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Let me know if you have any questions now. I'm going to share this spreadsheet with everybody once the video is out, potentially either this weekend or next weekend, essentially. So we will share this spreadsheet. Yeah. Any questions before we finish for the day? Now I'll just wait for 30 seconds. And if there are no questions, there are no questions. So 30 seconds, I'm not sure when the 30 seconds are up as far as the thing, but count once, count twice, count 3 times, hopefully, or maybe no questions, whatever. If you do have any concerns, feedback, etc., please throw it to the ghost wheels. On this positive note, we are pausing. Thank you so much. See you guys next week.